Now, both South Korea and Japan are easily within range of North Korea's missiles. And in light of the North's recent threats, the U.S. has been assuring both countries of its commitment to their defense. So let's take a look now at the current state of U.S. involvement on the Korean Peninsula. The U.S. military has remained in the region since the end of fighting in the Korean War back in 1953, when Washington and Seoul signed their Mutual Defense Treaty. But the number of U.S. troops has gradually decreased. Today, 28,500 U.S. soldiers remain stationed in South Korea. Currently, the U.S. would command South Korean troops if war were to erupt again, but that arrangement is scheduled to end in 2012. Some analysts have argued the U.S. presence in South Korea has pushed Pyongyang into an arms race. To discuss this and to discuss how the U.S. military role affects the politics of the region, we're now joined by Bruce Klingner. He is the former deputy chief for the CIA's analysis on Korea and a senior research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. So the North Koreans making clear that they will no longer be bound by the armistice agreement of 1953. How seriously should that threat be taken?
Well, it's certainly a matter of concern, but there isn't any thought that there is imminent hostilities. This is really a series of provocations since January that North Korea has engaged in: the missile tests, the nuclear tests, threatening war against the U.S. and its allies. There may be a growing likelihood of a tactical naval confrontation on the West Sea, but there's not expectations of a major hostilities.
How much of a military concern will this be for the United States, though, given the fact that currently there are 28,500 troops still stationed in South Korea?
It's clearly a concern. You have a country with nuclear weapons, with 800 missiles deployed against South Korea and Japan. You have a regime that has threatened to incinerate Seoul and to attack Japan. So certainly the rhetoric is there and the capabilities are there. But there's not the thought that there's the intention right now. But obviously this year is going to be a very tense one.
But doesn't that very same point, the fact that there are this huge number of military troops stationed on the border of North Korea, doesn't that give cause for concern for Pyongyang, though?
Well, the U.S. forces there have been deployed there since 1950 as a deterrent against a second North Korean attack. So the presence there is meant to be a deterrent against North Korean provocations getting too far out of hand.
But it does fit into that wider policy, doesn't it, of isolation, military threats, economic sanctions. So it is perceived by the North Koreans perhaps as being
that's what they claim.
On their border.
But even when the South Koreans and the U.S. were engaged in very energetic engagement, North Korea still resisted enforcing its or implementing its 4 previous international agreements to not pursue a nuclear weapons program, and then the 3 commitments to denuclearize itself.
So Pyongyang now saying that South Korea's decision to start intercepting ships that are suspected of carrying weapons of mass destruction would be tantamount to a declaration of war. These are strong words.
Right.
Do you think this could go beyond verbal threats? It could actually escalate militarily?
Well, a maritime confrontation would occur only if North Korea does proliferate weapons of mass destruction or missiles or technology or componentry. So if they don't, again, violate the UN resolutions, then there would not be a need for a boarding of a North Korean ship. If intelligence indicates that North Korea is trying to proliferate, then there would be an attempt at a boarding, perhaps, if the ship is not intercepted at the end port.
All right, Bruce Klingner, Senior Research Fellow at Heritage Foundation, thank you very much.
My pleasure, thank you.